It's Thursday, the 18th of February 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Today's headlines. Supermarket Coles makes a bumper profit but warns the lack of immigration and tourists will damage the economy for years to come. Plus, Rio Tinto announces a massive profit as it works to recover its reputation. Westpac, Domino's and Super Retail Group outline cracking results. And Google and the media companies reach agreement while Facebook bans news. Supermarket giant Coles has reported strong revenue and earnings, but there's a dark cloud on the horizon for it and other retailers, a lack of people. With no net migration into Australia this financial year and a dearth of international tourists, growth rates for many parts of the economy, including retailers, will be hindered. Coles Chief Executive Stephen Kane said that typically sales rise 3% a year, of which about a third can be slated back to immigration, but 2 and possibly 3 years of new customers will be lost, making it difficult for business to maintain growth rates even if you exclude the COVID impact. Coles reported a very strong half-year result with net profit up 15%, but the COVID boom was receding and the big supermarkets will have to find new growth drivers because the work-from-home pantry stuffing cycle was over. In overseas news, the Republican Party in the United States is tearing itself apart. Former President Donald Trump yesterday called party leader Mitch McConnell a dour, sullen and unsmiling political hack. Mr. McConnell last week was critical of Mr. Trump's role in last month's riots on Capitol Hill. The world's debt level reached $281 trillion at the end of last year, or 3.5 times the annual output of the globe, according to the Institute of International Finance. An extra $24 trillion was added last year as governments, companies and households raised money to offset the economic crisis. And finally, Bitcoin hit a new record high yesterday of over $51,000 a unit. Locally, Rio Tinto has paid out its biggest dividend in history, putting a positive slant on one of the mining giant's worst ever years. While iron ore production and prices surged, boosting the bottom line in 2020, the reputation of the group was sullied after it blew up 60,000-year-old rock ledges in the Yukon Gorge in Western Australia. The group is recovering from that cultural and public relations disaster, and yesterday announced its biggest profit in 9 years of $16 billion for the 6 months to the end of December. Westpac's quarterly cash earnings rose to almost $2 billion at the end of last year and is confident about the economic outlook. The country's second largest bank is hoping turmoil of recent years, including money laundering charges, write-downs and criticism from the Hayne Royal Commission, were coming to an end. One of my favourite companies, Domino's Pizza Enterprises, announced a 40% jump in underlying earnings to $100 million for the December half as the world ordered more pizzas. On average, every week, 5 new Domino's stores will open this year. Japan and Germany were particularly strong. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has commissioned an independent review into the workplace culture of Parliament House. It follows the distressing story of a Liberal staffer allegedly being raped in the office of Defence Minister Linda Reynolds. Bond yields are rising as investors become wary that inflation could be a factor in coming years. Why do we care? Well, it means long-term interest rates are rising, and that could be a precursor to medium-term rates rising. Perhaps those great fixed-rate mortgage loans now available have a shelf life. Treasury Wines, owner of Penfolds, said the group wants to remain in China, even though Beijing has imposed punitive tariffs on imports. The group is even considering creating a Chinese version of Penfolds to go with the Californian version officially launched yesterday. Super Retail Group, parent company for Rebel, Supercheap Auto, BCF and Macpac, said net profit rose 139% during the December half, spurred on by record sales across its retailers. The group raised $200 million in June at the height of the pandemic and spent the money on stock. BCF was a standout. Google and Nine have done a deal whereby the tech giant will pay the media company $30 million each year for the use of its content. It follows a deal between Google and Seven announced earlier in the week. Overnight News Corp announced it had reached a global 3-year deal with Google, where the two will develop a subscription platform and cultivate audio and video journalism and share ad revenue. By contrast, Facebook this morning said it will restrict publishers and people in Australia from sharing or viewing Australian and international news content. It's in response to the proposed new laws that would force tech companies to pay for news content. The move by Facebook would also prevent people overseas from sharing Australian content on the social media site. The government-owned National Broadband Network paid staff $78 million in bonuses last financial year, and its boss, Stephen Rue, was paid more than $3 million, making him the highest-paid public servant in the land. NBN has around 6,000 staff, and 850 of them earn more than $200,000 a year. In a story out of the Financial Review, the Byron Bay Backpackers has sold for $18.6 million. Okay, it's in a great spot and Byron is booming, but $18.6 million for a 4,000 square metre building in regional Australia. Wow. That's it, Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you've hit subscribe so you don't miss out. There's also more in today's full Fear and Greed podcast, including an interview with Peter White, CEO of environmental tech company EnviroSuite. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.